Good morning, Internet. Froggo here. And today I'll be talking about a movie I hold very dear to myself, the 1986 Transformers movie. Now, I initially had a very different video planned for this week, but I wrote the script for it and everything, and I got 5 minutes into producing it, and I realized with the script I wrote, it would be 25 minutes long, and I don't think I have the skills to make a 25-minute long video that is watchable. So, I needed something new to make a video about, something Transformers related, of course, and it was during my daily rewatch of the 1986 Transformers movie that I figured I should talk about my love for this movie. And so, here is why Transformers 86 is Orson Welles' avant garde magnum opus. Can I call it that? Orson Welles obviously didn't direct or write the movie, but he was a part of the production, so can I call it Orson Welles' magnum opus? I don't know. Don't tell me in the comments because I won't read it if you do. This is the best Transformers movie. I think that 07 is a little more boring than people tend to say. I don't like any of the other Bayverse stuff, as do most people. And Bumblebee has good writing, but nothing can match the aesthetics, the charm, the energy of this movie. It radiates pure 80s. I love it. Well, yes, saying that I watch it daily was a joke. I watched this about 5 days ago, and yet every line and every bit of the soundtrack is playing and repeat in my head. I don't like revisiting G1 that much. There's 5 or so episodes that I'm down to, and only if I'm really in the mood. But I will never not be in the mood to rewatch this movie. While researching shit for this video, I kept on coming across this video that was made a few days ago. It just seems to be a pretty critical review, calling it a caravan of garbage, and I haven't watched it. I don't want to complain about a video I haven't watched, but I don't think this is the type of movie for some random movie critic to complain about. This is something for a Transformers fan to look back on and have a chuckle at. That's the context you can enjoy this film in. I know this has been a random collection of thoughts about this movie so far, and I promise you momentarily I will be diving into the story beats of this movie. But first I want to talk about the Orson Welles in the room. Orson Welles voices Unicron in this movie, and that is very funny. It is the Chris Pratt Mario of 1986. Except for, unfortunately, Chris Pratt is still out there. Wow, Orson Welles died 6 days after recording his lines. At least it works with some hilarious karma if you read that one interview he made. He does a pretty good voice for Unicron, but the delivery is kind of off. Now, onto the plot. Not gonna lie, this movie has a really weird plot structure. We get a dark start with Unicron destroying a planet, then onto this amazing title sequence with that beautiful theme song, and then trauma begins. A huge bit of the G1 cast is unceremoniously killed off in the opening 20 minutes of this movie. While we're introduced to Hot Rod, Cup, Blur, RC, and Ultra Magnus. All save for Ultra Magnus have really weird alt modes because this movie takes place in the year 2005, and if you remember 2005, the future happened back then. It's over now, but back then, that's what pickup trucks looked like. Now, the Battle of Autobot City generally goes pretty bad for the Autobots, with so many of them dying, but at least Cup gets to commit vehicular manslaughter on 2 of the Insecticons. Anyway, Optimus Prime and the Dinobots show up, and the tide is finally turned for the Autobots. And man, this Optimus Prime introduction is sick. Stan Bush's The Touch plays as Optimus Prime jumps out of his alt mode into the air and begins blasting at the cons. Anyway, Optimus dies. It's played off pretty seriously in comparison to the other G1 character deaths, but yeah, Optimus just kind of dies. So, Optimus passes on the Matrix. Ultra Magnus doesn't accept his role as leader, but he says the iconic, light our darkest hour, all that bullshit, and then he drops the Matrix. Hot Rod grabs it, it glows, but then he gives it to Ultra Magnus. Meanwhile, the Decepticons retreat on Astro Train. Starscream takes the opportunity to throw Megatron into space, leaving him for dead along with many of the other damaged Decepticons. They argue over who should be the new leader, and we get a actually genuinely kind of funny gag where one of the Constructicons calls Soundwave uncharismatic, and then Rumble jumps out and says, "Nobody calls Soundwave uncharismatic." Unicron and Megatron finally meet, and Galvatron is created. Thundercracker and Skywarp are turned into Scourge and Cyclonus. Bombshell is turned into Cyclonus 2, and everyone else is turned into the Sweeps. Upon returning to Cybertron, Galvatron finds that Starscream has taken command of the Decepticons and is having a coronation. You get the funniest line in the movie as he says, "Here's a hint," and kills Starscream. Galvatron and crew return to Autobot City, and our heroes barely make it out alive. They're split up between two Autobot shuttles, which are damaged and forced to land on two separate planets. At Junk, they find the Junkions, led by Wreck-Gar, dare to be stupid plays over a fight scene, which is kind of funny, and then they find out that they speak TV, they give them a Junkion ship, and then they have a dance party. Meanwhile, in Quintessa, Cup gets torn to pieces, Hot Rod rebuilds him. They come across the Alligator Cons, I think that's what they're called, Gator Cons, who take them to the Quintessons. Quintessons are such an iconic part of this movie, but honestly, they're kind of lame in this movie. They're only really cool in Season 3 of G1 Cartoon and Cyberverse, I suppose. Anyway, at some point along this time, Galvatron returns and takes the Matrix of Leadership, has a divorce with Unicron, and Unicron begins to destroy Cybertron. But that's when our heroes come in. They attack Unicron, the touch plays, Hot Rod becomes Rodimus Prime, a bunch of other iconic stuff, and it's just such a fun finale. Unicron transforming is like such a beautiful, well-animated scene for a 1985 movie with a $5,000 budget. Anyway, there's the plot. It's weird, right? I mean, the hero is at their lowest moment at the end of the first act, and not the second. And I feel like the climax starts way before the climax actually happens. Unicron is already there, destroying Cybertron. Already about to destroy Cybertron. And why is he not doing it yet? I don't know. He says he considered sparing the planet, but it's not really a full explanation. Yeah, if you look at it critically, it is not a great movie, but if you look at it from the perspective of a Transformers fan, it is so fantastic and so Transformers-y. I don't know what to say about it. This has been Froggle. Tune in next week for something about like Beast Wars soundtrack or something stupid. See ya. Hold on. If you're here, which no one is, would you mind subscribing? I don't want to be like a sellout, and I don't want to do this at the start of the video or any of that. But I've had 25 subscribers for about the past 2 months, even though I've had a ton of new viewers that just haven't stuck around. Maybe you could break that cycle and be a new subscriber to me.